While it has on occasion stepped into the far-flung future, the Anno series has more typically set its city-building ventures in the times of the Renaissance, early colonialism, and through to the Industrial Revolution. Anno 117 Pax Romana, though, rips us all the way back to the heights of the Roman Empire. Quite literally, because 117 AD was the Roman Empire at its greatest extent. And it's the period of relative peace that allows your budding settlements to flourish without too much worrying about war breaking out. The game lets you play in two domains, either within the Roman Empire in Latium or in the less tamed Albion, and it was the former of these that we got to go hands-on with. Settling on a pleasant island, you get to work putting down a villa for your governor to call his home, laying down roads and connections between that, a port, and the first industry and living spaces for your citizens. Now, this is actually my first real experience of the Anno franchise, and I'm pleased to say that the game really sits under your fingers and thumbs quite nicely. Laying down roads and buildings snaps neatly to a grid, and there's just the right amount of freedom here as it lets you shift to 45-degree angles for some pleasing variety in how the layout of your city can really present itself, albeit while accepting that buildings won't pop up to fill off-angle spaces for you like they might do in something like City Skylines. Anno 117 absolutely nails the look and feel of this as well, from the basic residences that you place through to the huge fields of wheat, hemp and other crops that would make Russell Crowe break down in tears. Although, now that I think about it, that scene and his tears was about something else entirely. There's a holistic cycle of building blocks of housing for your new residents, unlocking new building types and industries to meet their wants and desires, and then being able to upgrade those domiciles to suit higher class citizens who supply workers to new buildings and have a new set of needs. This, unfortunately, is not a game for those of you who are utterly opposed to gentrification, because that's basically what you're trying to do here. It's generally quite straightforward stuff in the opening hours. With the Libertas residents, you need to start fishing for sardines and farming for oats to supply a porridge kitchen, and this helps to meet their food needs. The porridge kitchen is a simple two-step production line that just requires that you have the buildings within range of one another, and of a warehouse to store any overflow that you have. With their tummies nice and full, you then unlock a marketplace and a tavern which will cater to other needs, and then you have to shift focus to creating clothing with simple hemp tunics and woolen hats. Again, simple, straightforward two-step production lines. It's once the Plebians arrive in upgraded homes that things start to get a shade more demanding and complex. Baking requires wheat, salt water, and a bakery as just one early example, and I soon found industries that I couldn't cater to simply from the natural qualities of the island. Without ground that is suitable for growing olives, I can't make olive oil, and with the noise and stench of pig farming to supply a tannery, making sandals has got a negative impact on people's happiness if everything is clustered around together. And then on top of that, once you need to start making charcoal for firing pottery, the risks of fire grow, so you need to have firefighting and other public services that are ready and waiting to tackle any sudden challenges. It won't take too long then before you are having to look beyond your starter island for ways to progress. Having arrived on a trireme, you can send this ship out to explore the world map, pushing away the fluffy white clouds that obscure the archipelago of other small islands, and bumping into other settlements along the way, such as that of the Governor Tarragon of Ithacus, or just discovering random island-spanning villas such as that of Diana Augusta. There's also unsavoury slavers, people of different regions entirely, and as you meet all of these people, the diplomacy that's in the game will let you set out whether you have a friendly and cordial relationship or a more antagonistic one. Given the cartoonishly evil looks of the slaver, you can happily push back against them and ostracize them if you want, but you'll likely want to work with most of your neighbours to establish trade routes and to take on missions to keep them happy. Diana also provides some early narrative as you and some of your citizens look to attend her party. One element that I didn't really engage with was the warfare that is possible here. Again, this is a generally peaceful period of time, but you can build up a military garrison and fence off your settlement with defensive balustrades. And when you're on the high seas, some missions can have you run into hostile ships. At the same time, I barely got to scratch the surface of the research tree as well, some of which will tie across to managing a settlement in Albion, it seems. And then you've got those broad strokes of diplomacy and trade and religion that I also didn't really dig into. But one thing that really does stand out about Anno 117, with barely any time spent in the game, is just how good it looks. The landscapes are lush and verdant, there's a lot of fine detail to all of the buildings, and zooming in lets you appreciate the hustle and bustle as people wander around. I really enjoyed as well that this island that I started on actually has ruins from a previous settlement off on the other side, giving a little bit of the sense of the centuries that the Roman Empire had already existed for prior to the Pax Romana period. And there's also a full day-night cycle which is available visually in the game if you want to turn it on. You can lock the game to a particular time of day if you want, or just have it cycle around. Admittedly, once it does get dark, it is a little bit more difficult to pick out things that you want to interact with, but with a click of the toggle, then you can switch back to the middle of the day and just get on with things again. So, from the opening hours that I played, Anno 117 Pax Romana is shaping up as a lovely take on the city building genre, and it's an exciting step back into ancient history for fans of the series. The game is scheduled for release sometime this year across PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, and I'm sure there will be plenty more news about this game in the not too distant future. For now though, I hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen in this preview, and make sure to like, subscribe, click bell icons, the usual YouTube things, so hopefully we will see you again soon. Goodbye!